Greetings, Marsh here, and welcome to episode 21 of my modded Factorio playthrough. The last step we have in moving all of our production around is to produce the plates and get them onto the bus. Because square is good, I kind of want to just take all this stuff and move it over, because as you can see, factory is getting pretty square and empty now, which is a good thing. So you might as well line these up with this stuff up here. Alright, that's looking pretty clean. And fire it up and see what happens. Let's kind of copy the thing and put it right here for now. Alright, that one is set up for tin. However, if you remember, we had solder and bronze we also needed to do. So bronze should be on this side, probably between these two things since it's derived from both of them. Alright, bronze is done. Now it's time for solder. I guess it would have made more sense to put solder here, but I liked the idea of it all being square and perfect and straight, so I'm going to continue with that. Okay. That should be everything. Iron, copper, bronze, tin, lead, solder, and nickel. And a little craziness here, just to keep everything nice and square. And lots of space to expand if necessary. I don't even know if expansion will occur here. It's just, with Angel Bobs and Pi and other big mods, you never really know how much space all your stuff's going to take, so it's a good idea just to artificially space everything out like this, just to give you just space. You never know what needs to go in there. And look how empty this is now. So let's connect all these things and make sure they work. Glass, tin, lead, and nickel. I have like lots of leftover resources sitting around. I put them in these boxes for now just because whenever you move stuff, you always end up with many inventories worth of resources that you need to put back in the system somewhere. We'll deal with that later. Seems good. It's pretty uneventful. But that's kind of what we want. How's it looking up here? Cool, that's what we want to see. And then we just have byproducts in there, which is getting consumed at about the same rate it's going in, which is what we would expect for a balanced setup, but it will increase over time as we're not using the glass. Let's see, and this belt is moving along. It is not fully compacted. Of course, we're not running stereotype and saprite, which is why, but and we're going to quickly fill up on sulfur dioxide, but whatever. So now we need to put these products somewhere. I mean, the simple thing would be to just hook it back up to where it started. But all of this kind of needs to move, and I wouldn't even say move, it needs to get rebuilt. Oh yeah, we're the iron too, but that can be done anywhere. So it kind of makes sense to like do it right here. We'll deal with that later when it gets moved. But like This production is fine technically right now, but we need to build it on a bus that can handle a higher output. And just move things and make them nicer. So where is that bus going to go? Kind of makes sense to go along here. Actually, right along the center line. That's interesting. Of where those things are. Would actually be pretty good. We'd hit that water, but we'd probably have landfill by that point. And it's not going to be as big of a bus as you might expect it to be. Because we're only going to need one belt per resource. We just don't consume it that fast compared to stock because you have all these different resources, not just iron and copper. So we don't need an enormous amount of space. And technically we can turn the bus if we absolutely had to and go up that way. Honestly, this line makes a lot of sense to line the bus up. So, like, I guess it would be... What line specifically am I looking at? Okay, the one that's going through there. So that's solder, I think. So this would be the top of the bus. Or at least the first belt. And then because the underground distance, at least with the Bob's overhaul, is 6. I don't know if stock is like that, but that's kind of what we'd be looking at. So what resources are going to go on this thing? Well, let's create some boxes. And simulate it. Well, nothing exciting, just place a box there, put something in it to say what the icon would be. Let's see, and also thinking of how to do it cleanly with everything else over there. Okay, so right there would be just iron. And then copper. Let's see, what do we need bronze for? Because we want to make sure all these things deserve to be on the bus. Okay, fast transport belts, so absolutely it needs to be on there. It actually doesn't, and yeah, piercing round. Doesn't go into that much, but it does go into things. So yes, it absolutely should be on here. Bronze. And tin and lead, which you absolutely need for science and all of that. Tin. Lead. And we have solder and nickel. Both of those also definitely need to be on here. Solder, nickel. Okay, so what about the rest of these things? I mean, obviously the bus can be huge if we want it to be, and kind of have to think outside the box a bit. So, wood. What about wood? Let's see, wood goes into resin. And actually, like, basic splitters, basic underground, so wood is 100% something that needs to go in there. Goes in the phenolic boards, basic insulation boards. Let's do wood, but also, if we look at insulating boards, we could also make insulating boards with paper, which is kind of an interesting roundabout way of doing it, but we're not that far away from being able to do it. It's a more efficient use of your wood, basically. Let's see, stone. What about regular stone? I think we do need it. Goes into belts. Doesn't go into that many things, but it does go into things. Okay, so stone, yes. Bricks, yes. Steel might make more sense to go there. Let's see, I'm going to grab some of these insulating boards because I think we're going to be producing those. So we want to simulate having them on there. Let's see, let's check things we could research for anything else that might be on there. I think we're alright, but of course we want to have the belt be expandable in the future, because who knows what we're going to be putting on there. For one, we're going to have intermediate things that we need to bus. You know, like motors and gears, steel gears, regular gears, circuit boards. So we probably want to have at least 2 belts for all of that stuff. We want to have some extra belts for things we can't even predict. Expansion, basically. So, two full sets for the products we do know we have. 2 sets for intermediates we'll make. And then 2 sets for who knows what. Looks like I made 7 of them. Don't need that. So this would be the other side of the bus. Would that work? Yes, you see how thick it would be. And we'd probably start the producing... I mean, we could start it right here and go down, and then go up when we're not covering the bobmodium. But yeah, I'm thinking that would work all right. Give us enough space. And by the time it wasn't big enough, we would have lots of technology to expand it further. What about resources? What kind of stuff is out here? Stereotyte, gibbelite. I'll need to learn what all those other ores do, because I haven't played with those ores yet. I think adamantite makes iron. Some sapphirite. Oh, stereotyte on an island. Stereotyte. There's quite a bit of stuff out here. More sapphirite and coal. So we have lots of things we can grab over time. But I'm pretty happy with this setup here. So with that, we'll need a ton of belts. We have a few. But let's line everything up here, since we now know where it needs to go. Ah yes, carbon. After moving those belts around, I realize we need carbon too. Let's see, what's the most efficient way of getting it there? Probably to send it down on this side. But like right there. Let's get that in here. Ah, look how straight all the belts are. Alright, we're looking pretty good. We've cleared everything out of the center of the base, moved it to the side, and we're ready to start working on our new main bus. However, there are still a few last items we can take care of. We need stone and bricks. That's easy enough to acquire from over here. And actually, we can just go straight down and then split it to the left and to the right to get it onto the bus right here. So that's actually not a problem. And that's the end of this episode. We finally got all the buildings moved around, so now we can start working on the bus a little bit. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.